In Serbia, a wave of confidence is spreading in places like Krupanj, Valjevo, and Obrenovac, places that were hit hard by unprecedented floods last May. The UNDP has shown the depth of its partnership with Serbia and its people, meeting the needs of a country that encountered widespread destruction.
UNDP has been an inseparable part of our effort to deal with floods, to deal with the recovery.
The UN resident coordinator in Serbia, Irina Vajokova-Salarano, watched with alarm last May when heavy rains intensified.
The floods were initiated by rains that lasted for nearly 2 weeks and did not stop, which is highly unusual for this region. And when the rains lasted around 5 days, we started to be worried. And then the news came in that villages are starting to be flooded.
Serbian Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić addressed the nation, noting the historic nature of the disaster.
Utopljenih je 20+7, pošto imamo jedno lice u Svilajncu koje je dokazano da je utopljeno.
The UNDP, by its very mission in Serbia, was already positioned to lead an immediate response.
Definitely, UNDP was the core of the first action because UNDP had all the contacts in the government and also in the municipalities to be able to get all the facts together. And all the other UN agencies were joining in.
Nearly a fifth of the country's population was heavily affected by the floods. Thousands of families saw their livelihoods and communities in ruins, and tens of thousands were homeless. Angelique Vracic, ordered to leave her home also because of landslides.
Mnogo mi je to iz života sigurno uzelo, to znam sigurno.
Still trying to retrieve family treasures from a house in ruins. Her granddaughter Anna only had time to take her prized possession, a puzzle. Leposova had no time at all. 60 years of family history destroyed by flooding waters in seconds. Mashinka, forced to abandon her home of 70 years near Valjevo because of landslides. And this Roma family, still living in their home, but it's sinking and they're living on the edge. The United Nations country team in Serbia provided immediate relief support to the Serbian government. The first international team on the ground in Serbia was the UNDP team, led by Michael Elmquist. He gave a blunt assessment of the destruction.
A disaster of this magnitude goes beyond the capacity of any nation. There is a need for international assistance.
He also noted the scale and variety of the destruction.
In some areas, there are 3 different types of damage. One area, flash floods have simply moved away the houses, destroyed the embankments. In the second kind of area, like in Obrenovac, the waters have risen and have flooded areas. And the third problem is the landslides. We are now seeing areas where landslides have shifted the ground, underground water has undermined the roads have fallen down, houses were cracked, and people have lost all their belongings.
At the beginning of the crisis, the Ministry of Interior's Center for Emergency Situations was the focal point for immediate relief for places like Obrenovac. Obrenovac was the worst hit by the floods and needed the most urgent relief.
Obrenovac has been devastated by floods. 1/3 of all the damage that the entire country has sustained is registered exactly in Obrenovac.
Marko Blagojevic, the director of the government's Office for Flood Relief and Rehabilitation, an office that didn't even exist when the disaster struck.
The effects of the disaster that has affected our country in May have been overwhelming. And the existing mechanisms were not adequate to cope with the scope of the disaster that has affected our country. That's why there was a need to set up the office to overlook the process.
The United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund, known as CERF, provided immediate support to Serbia worth $2.3 million, delivered by various UN agencies involved in specific aspects of the overall relief effort, including UNICEF, WFP, WHO, UNFPA, IOM, FAO, and the UNDP. The UNDP's own Bureau for Crisis Prevention and Recovery, called BCPR, gave extra funding for medium and long-term needs, also with a focus on reducing the risks of future disasters.
is an example that we do practical things wherever they are necessary. This is the kind of work that we did in municipalities that were affected by the floods. Cleaning sewage, rebuilding water, building houses.
In July, the UNDP administrator Helen Clark came to Serbia to examine the recovery efforts ahead of a major international donors conference. While praising the pace of the recovery, she also noted the guiding principle of UNDP, building back better, so that the recovery does more than restore what was lost.
So I think this is a very, very good time to be thinking not only about recovering from this, but recovering better, building back better, looking ahead, anticipating the increased risk that's coming with climate change, and adapting around it so that the people of Serbia can look to a secure future and sustaining their development.
So on this side will be how many on this side?
Five and 4.
4. And there will be attached, the houses?
Yes.
So like townhouses?
Yes.
A new partnership to support Serbia, as the UNDP joined with the Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan Foundation of the United Arab Emirates to build homes in Obrenovac, Valjevo, and Krupan. As the construction continued in record time, the UAE ambassador explained the ties with Serbia.
It is the gift and the donation, it is heart to heart. From our heart, from the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed heart to you.
In October, representatives from more than 24 municipalities, all recovering from the floods, met with officials from the Government Flood Relief Agency and also from the UNDP. They wanted to talk about what still needed to be done. Brzarko Petrovic of the UNDP urged that they must also prepare for the future.
Svaki dolar investiran u sprečavanje ovih katastrofa se vraća 7 puta u otklanjanju posljedica, odnosno 7 puta je manje potrebno uložiti novca u sprečavanje ovakvih stvari nego posle u otklanjanje posljedica.
And in December, construction was completed of all homes in these locations. Families gathered to receive their keys, not only as new homeowners, but also for a new beginning.
Za mene je čudo što su uspeli da osuše. Znači da stavi motor i kreće da bude suvo u ovakvim uslovima, tako da je to nosi u svoj ton.
And it's now a partnership that is embarking on the next phase, reducing the risk of future flooding, as Serbia and the UNDP have announced the building of torrential dam barriers.
Danas potpisujemo ugovor za izgradnju prvih 4 od 20 bujičnih brana.
While Serbia expects the threat of future disasters, including rivers that could turn deadly, the successful relief and recovery effort has shown it has the capacity to provide new homes, to restore livelihoods, and to demonstrate a new confidence and resilience, all built on the partnership with the UNDP.